Hey everyone, Evan Jones with you here on the RPAC Rundown Podcast. Another great pod this week. As you can tell, background a little bit different if you are watching the podcast this week at the time of this recording. Visiting some family in Texas, took a little trip before we get real busy with the sports season, so always good to take a little bit of a break. But as you know, the work never does stop for sure for what we do for a living, which we're grateful for. We love what we do. But this week on the podcast, we will look at the RPAC football season ahead of this week. It's the first week of the football season as games will be happening. We will be covering the Cambridge versus Arapahoe game to kick off our coverage for the football season. Like we said, we are previewing the season for the RPAC. We'll look at some of those teams to watch in the conference. Of course, complete previews we have in our magazine, the RPAC Rundown Preview magazine that we collaborate on with the Valley Voice. They've been out for a few weeks. You can check out social media as we have graphics out where you can pick up your edition of the RPAC Rundown Fall Preseason magazine. Of course, last week on the podcast, we had Cody Gerlach of the Valley Voice. He joined us to chat about the volleyball season for the RPAC, so you can check that out too. Great podcast last week. Be sure to check out rpacrundown.com and social media for all kinds of great content. The RPAC Rundown Podcast is brought to you by a bunch of great sponsors like Arapahoe Rehab and Fitness, Cambridge Supermarket, Webb's Oilfield Service, Cambridge Rehab and Fitness, Onyx Native, and C+. We'll take a break. Be right back. Welcome back to the RPAC Rundown Podcast. We are going to preview the football season for the conference. Complete previews, of course, in our preseason magazine, which has been out for a few weeks. So let's begin with those teams to watch that I initially wrote about, the teams to watch in the conference to begin with. And then we'll take a short break. Then we'll come back and we will go through the rest of the conference. Just a few thoughts on each team in the RPAC. So let's discuss those teams some more, the teams to watch for. To begin with, Hitchcock County. They're absolutely loaded between seniors like Jace Hawkswell, who's tough in the secondary, Adam Kisker, Carson Schuler, Jack Baker at quarterback, and at the secondary position, Jarrett Neben, Jaden Loffrey, Carson Hubble, Carter Propp, a great running back, and sophomore Brody Hubble. He was great in the secondary last year. There's a lot to like. They have a lot of depth too. And then they added to it also by getting a senior transfer in Grady Erickson from Maywood Hayes Center. They might have an interesting backfield rotation to figure out, and they'll be in the tough D2A district. And of course, with a coach like Randall Rath, he always has his guys ready to go. So I expect a lot from Hitchcock County this season. Next, Wallace in the six-man ranks. The Wildcats, they returned some good experience. They have a lot of weapons, including junior Ashton Johns at running back, had over 1,100 yards rushing and double-digit touchdowns. Junior quarterback Colt Franklin, really solid player. Tyson Sullivan, he will be key in a variety of positions, whether it's on special teams, returning kicks and punts, and nice in the secondary on defense. He could be a home run hitter on offense for Wallace also. A lot to like there for the Wildcats. Dundy County Stratton, probably the most obvious one on the list. The Tigers, they're one of the top teams in D1. They're tough on the line with senior Carlos Diaz and sophomore Brock Bailey. Junior Brock Bailey. Junior Brock Bailey, not sophomore Brock Bailey, junior Brock Bailey. Also, they have a senior quarterback in Dante Horner who's controlling the offense. He was the RPAC Rundown first-team quarterback in senior Ethan Latta with nearly 5,000 career total yards and 79 touchdowns. That helps for sure. I implore you, if you get the chance to watch Dundy County Stratton play and see an athlete like Ethan Latta play, take the chance and do that. Very good football player. Look for the Tigers to be a force in 2025. I've said it before and I'll say it again. They have great weapons like August Shaw, Kevin Garcia. They'll be big playmakers. Super intrigued to see how Breck Horner does at defensive end. He's a sophomore. He was a linebacker last season as a freshman, 89 tackles, first-team RPAC Rundown selection at the linebacker position. I think he'll be a game wrecker at defensive end also. He's going to make a lot of plays. Next, Southwest in the six-man ranks. Senior Houston Billiter threw for 2,224 yards and 32 touchdowns last season. That's pretty darn good. He'll look for juniors he'll look for juniors like Derek Kelly and Jacob Barber to be big-time weapons for him to utilize. I like the athletes they have on defense also. Could be a big year for Southwest in the six-man ranks. They'll be regarded as one of the top teams in the state in six-man. Now for Cambridge, the Trojans, they'll have their work cut out for them also in the D2-8 district. But when you have a strong line on both sides of the ball, like seniors Trev Burke and Colton Perks, and then a bunch of skill guys like seniors Micah Gerlach, who'll be coming back from injury. He'll be at the quarterback position playing safety. Also, Creighton Ruggles, who was a first-team RPAC Rundown defensive back with 7 interceptions last year. Braden Miller, Brady Allmeyer, Hodge Rayburn, a whole bunch more. It'll be interesting to see how head coach Catlin Rice decides how to utilize his playmakers. I think that's going to be really interesting. A big question for them, though, who's the lead back for Cambridge? Braden Miller will get some touches from what I hear, and look for the short passing game to be an extension of the run game, too, for Cambridge. Couple more teams for our teams to watch that we had in the magazine. Alma, after being slowed down last year with injuries and not being eligible due to enrollment numbers, so they opted to play down in D1, so they weren't eligible for the playoffs. I think there's a big season in store potentially for Alma seniors like Isaiah Neal, Tucker Biscup, Xavier Mitchell, and junior Grady Feynman. They're really nice pieces to work your offense around. And defensively, they'll have to find ways to get some stop. We'll be really interested to see how they do that. Now, Medicine Valley. It's been a while since Medicine Valley has won a game. They've lost 25 straight. It's been since October 15th, 2021, when they beat Maywood Hayes Center. Championship-winning head coach Scott Trimble takes over. I think that streak ends sometime this season. They've got a lot of talent with juniors like Mason Robley, Lucas Einspar, and Ethan Brown. I think they could win a handful of games, and I am confident when I say they will win some games, plural, this season. I think Medicine Valley is going to be a much improved football team. And they weren't a bad football team last season. I thought they played really hard. I thought they hung in there really well for their first year in six-man ranks. They've got a lot of athletes. I expect them to win some games this season. Let's take a break. We'll talk more about the football season ahead for the RPAC. You're listening to the RPAC Rundown Podcast. So we discussed our teams to watch for RPAC football that we had in the magazine, but of course we want to watch all of our RPAC football squads. A lot of good things that are going to happen across RPAC country for the football season. Like I mentioned, if you want to see complete previews, grab yourself a preseason magazine. We have graphics up on social media and a blog post on where you can get your RPAC Rundown Fall Preview magazine. So I have a thought or two for each team in the conference. Also, if you haven't signed up for RPAC Rundown Overtime, you're missing out. We have a bunch of preseason stuff there too, with position breakdowns on the football side and also the volleyball, and some returning runners for cross country. Super affordable. $3 per month plus tax, or $30 per year plus tax. So if you haven't signed up for RPAC Rundown Overtime, I implore you to do so. A lot of good stuff there. All right, let's go through the remaining of those RPAC football teams. Some things that I think we'll see from the squads in the conference. Let's start with Maywood Hayes Center. I think they're going to be physical. I like their makeup on defense with Cooper Soundy, Oliver Anders, Sawyer Dibburn, and Cade Brose. I think Dibburn could be the lead back for them, anywhere from 750 to 1,000 yards rushing. Of course, you got to establish a line of scrimmage, but I think he's a very physical runner, could have a big year. Now for Maxwell, solid playmaker and Jesse Reyes at quarterback. They've got great line play on both sides with Colt Gosnell and Jordan Redden. Those two are beasts, and they play hard. Juanita Palisade, when you bring back a running back like Creighton Weiss, 6'2", 205 pounds, I don't think there's probably a lot of players that are really interested in tackling him on the football field. He rushed for over 1,200 yards and 26 touchdowns. David Briner, he'll be key at the linebacker spot too. And of course, they've got great coaching in Randy Geyer and Joseph Frex do a good job as co-head coaches. Should be a fun team in the six-man ranks. Arapahoe, young team, but I expect high effort from them. Hayden Seach, Trey Downey, and Briggs Hill, they'll be really steady players for Arapahoe this season, I believe. They're going to play hard. I think head coach Dustin Kronhoffman will have his group ready to play hard and be physical on the football field. Another six-man team, Paxton, they went 4-4. Chance Moreland in his second season at the helm. He'll look for Maddox McConnell to be a big part of the team on both sides of the ball. Now Sutherland, I expect them to be improved. Jackson Sainer at quarterback, Mason Mortimer, a versatile player on the line, or you could put him anywhere on the football field, just a really good football player. Easton Smith, a weapon at tight end, and Scotty Anderson, really nice defensive back too. Bertrand could be a tough out every week. Head coach Trey Studheit, he gets good effort out of his group. Thunder Nelson, a first-team RPAC Rundown defensive lineman. Marshall Steinbrink, they will anchor that defense. I expect Bertrand to be a really solid defensive team. For Highline, Brody Diefenbaugh, he'll be solid once again. They will improve their 1-7 record, I believe, will Highline. Gage Rupp, big season loading, I think. Really nice running back, could have a big year. They've got some depth, I think, on the defensive side. A lot of pieces with Parker Schutz and Ethan Oberg and others. Southern Valley, head coach Coy Gideon, he takes over. I bet this group will find some success on the ground game. I think the effort will be there too from the Eagles. Great football season ahead for the RPAC. Should be a lot of fun. We're really excited about it. Like we said, our first football game coverage this season will be Cambridge versus Arapahoe in Arapahoe. Doubleheader that night as we have volleyball ahead of that. If you'd like to sponsor some of our coverage, of course, just reach out to us on email, rpacrundown@gmail.com. You can reach out to us on social media. Also super affordable for our businesses to advertise. Great exposure, great way to get your business name out there. And if you're just a community member that wants to sponsor our coverage, give us a shout. We can figure out something there too. Really excited about the fall sports season getting started here. This week, it did really technically start last week. We had coverage for girls golf. Of course, Southern Valley Alma Saints, they started softball last week too. We have our weekly blogs up with results from both of those events going on as well. So yeah, really excited to get back into the swing of things. We'll take a short break. We'll be right back. And guess what? It's time to announce our Athletes of the Week, brought to you by First Central Bank. We'll be right back with that. Welcome back. It's time to announce the RPAC Rundown Athletes of the Week, brought to you by First Central Bank. Let's plan for tomorrow together. First Central Bank, member FDIC. This week, we have two female athletes of the week to announce. First, Haley Evans of Cambridge at the Cambridge Invite last Thursday, which was a 9-hole event. She took first place, shooting a 46. Great outing for Haley Evans of Cambridge. Our other athlete of the week goes to Caitlin Bradley of the Southern Valley Alma Saints softball team. She's had a great start to the season, including an incredible 4-for-4 outing at the plate in their 21-0 win over Lexington over the weekend. She hit 3 home runs and had 6 RBIs. Not too bad, some might say. Congratulations to both Haley Evans of Cambridge and Caitlin Bradley of the Southern Valley Alma Saints softball team for winning Athletes of the Week this week. Of course, brought to you by First Central Bank, member FDIC. That will do it for this week's episode of the podcast. We continue to have great content as always. The RPAC Rundown Podcast is brought to you by JBK Operating LLC, Scouts Recreation, First Central Bank, Cross Diamond Cattle Company, Tri-Valley Medical Foundation, and Prairie Girl Candle Company. Thanks a bunch for tuning in. We will catch you later.